Okay, as you can see, the camera is shit. That is because I have broken my phone. It got knocked out of my hand by accident, and after weeks of my wife nagging for me to get a case, and I still haven't got one, it hit the floor and broke the glass around the front camera. As a result of this, I have proceeded to suffer that I told you so. Anyway, the reason I want to do a video, and the reason I'm not bothered about...
Take the next right onto Broadfield, then turn left to stay on Broadfield.
It is because my ugly fizzog isn't really mattering in this video, and it is more important about what I am wanting to say. Well, I feel it is.
Take the next left to stay on Broadfield, then turn right onto A591.
You will hear the sat-nav popping up now and again because I am on my way to Peterlee to train a client.
Take the next right onto A591.
It's a guy called Jack Dutton who's competing in 3 weeks in the lakes at Lake Windermere, and I'm now off to the other side of the country to Peterlee to train a client. Jack's done really, really well, actually. He works ridiculous hours in the restaurant trade, 14 hours a day on his feet, and he's prepped, and kid's done really good. Had a few hiccups on the way, but we've worked through them, and I don't normally do comp prep because I can't be arsed with needy bastards, but to be fair, the guy's been a legend. And speaking of legends, that is why, good link there, that is why I want to talk to you guys today. Some of you will know...
Continue on A591 for half a mile.
Darren Stansby, wheelchair athlete, competes in strongman and has competed as a bodybuilder. Friend of mine, I spoke about him in the past. Now, Darren was diagnosed with a rare condition known as cerebral ataxia. It's a condition of the brain, and he has a particularly rare form of that. It's rare that somebody who is living is diagnosed with this condition. Normally, they are diagnosed post-mortem. It is...
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, continue straight onto Ambleside Road, A591.
And usually kills very quickly. Darren's outlived his prognosis, I think it's 5 or 7 years. So, you know, boys beat the odds pretty well already. Now, Darren's in a wheelchair. Basically what ataxia does is it, in real simple terms, your brain rots from the inside out. So slowly but sure, well, usually actually quite rapidly, you get degradation of the brain, and your ability to function just stops. First physically, and then vision, speech, hearing, and eventually autonomic function, i.e. brain, heart, and breathing, and blood pressure, and those sort of things. Now, Darren lost the loose of his eggs quite early on, but his speech node in his brain is completely gone, but he remains able to talk, and doctors don't know why. I do. He's a stubborn bastard and refuses to give up. Well, unfortunately, it would appear that his refusal is not enough. Darren has deteriorated rather rapidly over the last 6 months, particularly over the last few weeks. And there's been a few weeks where I thought it was going to be the end, and I think we are now in the last stages of his life. Been thinking about this a lot this morning, and I'll be honest, it's upset me. Though I knew it was going to happen, and we've discussed his death between ourselves numerous times, and over the last few months he's been planning his funeral and his final arrangements, to actually now be faced with the reality that it's most likely going to happen very, very soon has been quite upsetting. It's also been quite angering. That why such a good man should go and so many arseholes should live on. And, you know, Darren's never been one, though he does discuss his condition and he has brought it up, probably more so in the last few months when his deterioration has been quite pronounced. Most of the time he doesn't mention it. He just gets on with shit. Now, he has periodic attacks. These can be quite frequent. They can even be daily. And sometimes you can go long periods without a severe one. But when he does have an attack, two things happen. He ends up with severe muscle spasms. Now, I'm not talking like his calf starts twitching. I'm talking severe muscle spasms, but I'm also talking overall body spasms, even to the degree where the muscles in his throat spasm, the muscles in his eyeballs spasm. This also is coupled with all the nerves in his body sending pain signals. So much so that his body will literally put itself into a coma. He'll pass out with the pain. Now, for someone to pass out purely based on pain is quite obviously very high levels of pain. I've known him have to down bottles of morphine to the point just to be able to stand fabric touching his legs. I don't think any of us can really comprehend that amount of pain. And this man, through medication, but also just through sheer bloody mindedness, has managed to operate through this. Last year, at a weight of either 85 or 87, I can never remember exactly, body weight, he pulled a 400 kilo deadlift on the seated deadlift. Basically, you sit on a bench, your legs are strapped to the bench, bear in mind his legs don't work. He still has sensation in them, but he has no muscular control. And then you lean forward, grab the bar and sit upright. So his whole core and back. And at 85, 87 kilo, he pulled 400 kilo. What a lot of people don't know is that put him in intensive care for 5 days and he bled from his ears for 4. And you'll never see a post, oh, in hospital, woe is me, or a hashtag grinding, or a hashtag warrior, or a hashtag strong like this, or any bullshit like that, or I nearly died deadlifting, or any of that crap, because he never did any of it. In fact, pretty much all you'll ever see from Darren is positivity. I remember he was in hospital, just got out of intensive care, was just about able to talk again, and I'd been having a bit of jip with my trapped nerve in my back, and he rang me apologising that he hadn't rung to see how I was. That was the sort of bloke Darren was. Always thought of others, never of himself. Never moaned about the lot life had given him. In fact, probably achieved more after his diagnosis than he ever would have done pre-diagnosis, and he freely admits that himself. He's a miracle. The fact that he's even lived as long as he has is a miracle, let alone what he's achieved as a disabled athlete with a degenerative brain disease is far more than what most of us would dream of achieving as an able-bodied individual. If I achieve a quarter of his physical achievements and able to be a quarter of the man that he is, I will have surpassed any of my expectations. He's incredible. He's just an incredible human being and an incredible positive person. Yeah, he's had his dark moments, and we've shared some of those together. But you know what? He's never posted for likes. He's never posted for followers. He's never posted for attention. He's always posted to share his love of what he does. This is a man that competed in America last year at the Arnolds. Disabled strongman. Halfway through the comp, he had an attack and was unable to continue. That evening, when all the crowds had gone, still in a huge amount of pain and unable to see or talk properly, he wheeled himself into the arena and, excuse me, sorry, and started to lift the stones. No cameras.
In a quarter of a mile, turn left onto Winter Lane.
He did it for himself. And in this world of, oh, I'm struggling, I'm suffering so much because I've got to eat fish and potatoes for 4 meals a day, or fish and broccoli.
Take the next left onto Winter Lane.
I've got to get up and do cardio. Aren't I a warrior? Aren't I suffering? Aren't I an amazing individual? No, you're not, you selfish little prick. You choose to do this crap, suck it up, buttercup, and get the fuck on with it. Because here's a man that really suffered. Suffered every day, still does, and never complains, and never posts this fucking pretentious bullshit online. Is a man we can all learn from. Now, Darren is deeply religious. No, it's not my thing. I'm not a religious person, but you know, that's his choice, that's his faith, and I respect that. But he's also very private with it. Never preached or anything, but for those of you that are religious, you might want to say a prayer for the guy. He only had one love really greater than what he did, his love of the sport, and that was his love for his daughter, Freya. And he's dedicated his life to her and to the sport of strongman and bodybuilding and lifting in general, and to other people. Always shared his passion, always had time for people no matter how much he was suffering. The amount of times I'd seen him post online and be happy and positive, and I knew full well he was in a hospital bed with a tube feed and in absolute agony. The guy is incredible.
In a quarter of a mile, keep left to continue on Windermere Road, A5284.
And I'm going to truly miss him. But at this time,
keep left to continue on Windermere Road.
I'd appreciate people sending in messages.
Continue for 2 miles.
So he knows he's not alone, and he knows people do care. His achievements are very underrated. Him as a person is very underappreciated. We celebrate dickheads that stand in front of a microphone and mumble bullshit about drugs and women and crap. We celebrate dickheads that go on TV with a tan and are as thick as fuck. And yet here is a true modern day hero and a legend of a person, and most people have never even fucking heard of him. The guy's an inspiration. So much so that in our house, we don't moan about being ill, because if you do, you just get told. Darren wouldn't, so to speak. I don't think he realises how much he's inspired me to try and be a better person. I've never heard him say a bad word about anyone. In fact, usually if someone has done something, and he suffered abuse, he put up a GoFundMe page at some point to try and raise some funds so he could compete abroad, and he got that much abuse from people, he put it down again. He gets abuse now. You're faking it, you're a con, you're all this bollocks, because people can't believe the achievements he's had. I can tell you now he's not, and I can tell you now I've never met a man suffer, or seen a man suffer so much pain and still be able to smile and come back again and again and again. And unfortunately, it looks like this time he might not be able to. So he's on Facebook, Darren Stamsby, and though he won't possibly be able to reply, I think it will do him the world of good if you can message him. Just say hello. Anything. I'm sorry. I'll get me shit together. Just to give you, I want to tell you a little story about him. When he was diagnosed, he was in hospital. He'd lost the use of his legs at this point, and he was allowed to get in his wheelchair and, you know, move around the hospital and go outside and just generally get out of it. So he wasn't supposed to leave the hospital grounds, but he rung a taxi. A taxi came, taxi helped him in, you know, he was helped into the taxi, and he asked him to take him to a gym. I'd been to a gym before because he played rugby, but not in the sense of a bodybuilder type or that thing. Anyway, got to the gym. He wasn't strong enough to open the door, so he started ramming his wheelchair into the door. Till the owner came out and opened the door, basically like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Saw him in the wheelchair, let him in. He explained that he had this condition and wanted to start weight training. Gym owner said, "Well, you don't look very well, mate." And he's like, "I'm not." And he went, "All right." Now, gym owner looked at him and went to a cupboard and came out of the cupboard with a broom handle. Because that's all Darren had the strength to lift. And even that was hard. And he was told when he could do it above his head 20 times and he could do it off a bench 20 times, then he could have a proper bar. And that was the start of Darren's bodybuilding and strongman. Years later, he pulled 400 kilo. The man is incredible. And should be held up as an inspiration to not just for lifting, but just for the fact that through all he has suffered, all the pain and struggle, I've never ever heard him once say, "Woe is me." I've never heard him once post for likes or post for attention. He's just spread positivity and his love for the sport. And that sort of person, in my book, deserves far more respect than some fucking dickhead called Ryland. Or some other equally fucking arsehole, knob jockey, fucking Geordie Shore, Only Ways Essex, or whatever else bullshit programs there are that people seem to fawn over and think are amazing. For what? Achieve nothing. Anyway, I've had enough of being upset and ranting, so please, guys, Darren Stansby, you'll find him on Facebook. Just send him a message. Let him know he's not alone, eh? The world's going to be a very darker, greyer, dingier place when he goes. And unfortunately, I fear that's going to be all too soon. Right. Take care, guys, and I'll speak to you soon.